It's the Evan edition. The Evan edition. The Evan edition. The Evan edition. It's the Evan edition. The Evan edition. The Evan edition. The Evan edition. It's the Evan edition.
Welcome back to the Evan edition, where we talk movies, TV, comics, pop culture, and everything in between. I am your host, Evan Bernstein, and I am joined by a new co-host today. I am joined by Zach from Zach Milne Talks Movies. Zach, welcome to the show, my friend.
What's going on, man? You nailed it. Got my name right. That's hard for some people. That's gonna
welcome to the show. I'm happy. You know, we've been talking for a while, and for those of you that don't know, Zach actually introduced me to Zach Goulbourne, who is on my show every other Sunday. And you know, I found Zach Milne online, just like from his content, and reached out, and he was so nice to connect. And of course, you know, you had a newborn at the time, so you were like, I'm not really filming as much right now. Yeah. So it's been a long time coming, but I'm so glad to have you on the show. You know, for the uninitiated, why don't you just introduce yourself and your show and what your show is all about?
Yeah, well, hi, I'm Zach, and my show is still it's in a transitional phase for sure. But at the moment on the channel, we're doing a lot of ranking videos of franchises of past and new, still putting out some movie reviews out there as well. And basically, we just talk about all the fun pulp culture, nerdy, geeky stuff in movies and TV that goes on. And I do a live show called Zach Milne Talks Live. It's not regular at the moment, but on that show, we cover some movie news. We talk about just life and YouTube in general from the chat, and it's a good time. It's just a good hangout space. So if that sounds like something you'd like, come check us out.
Yeah, no, I've actually checked it out and really love just the vibes that you create for your audience, for your community. It's really welcoming. Like, everyone has a voice. It's respectful. It's just a beautiful thing. And so it makes sense for us to do some shows together, because it's we view this community the same way. These things are, you know, subjective. It hits everyone differently, but as long as you can be respectful, why not have a conversation about the things that we love? So yeah, I am super happy to finally get you on here, especially for this special impromptu episode for It Welcome to Derry season finale spoiler discussion. So we're going to get all into it. We're going to break it down from beginning to end, talk about a lot of spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, I would skip on this until you have seen it. But if you have seen it, stay here, stay for the ride, comment in the chat, and be with us, because there's a lot of crazy stuff, and we cannot wait to get into it. So
we're getting into it.
Before I do get into it, I just wanted to state this before we start into the fun stuff. There's been a lot of really, really terrible things that have gone on recently throughout the world, in our country. And so I just want to say, you know, we're not ignorant of this. It's just for us, and I think I can speak for Zach, movies and TV are comfort for us. They make us happy. There's something special. And so, you know, when terrible things in the world are happening, I think this medium is something that film and TV lovers, you know, fall back on and feel some sense of comfort with their depression and their anxiety and the things that they're going through when the world seems like things are just not good right now. And so I just wanted to make it clear and give respect to the situations and the issues and the horrible, disgusting things that are happening right now, and not ignore those things, but let you know that if you are going through something and you need something to rest on, to take your mind off of it and focus on something that brings you joy, like movies or TV or, in horror or comedy or whatever it is, this is a place we're going to do that at. So I didn't feel comfortable just like, everything's great, welcome to Derry, without, kind of addressing just what's going on, because that is the reality that we live in right now.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, and I didn't even tell Zach. I was gonna tell Zach, but we were catching up right before the show.
No, this is very well spoken, very well said, man.
I know we've talked enough. I know your heart. I know how you feel, and so I think I was like, you know what? I feel like Zach would respect that we're giving the audience this space to allow, some sense of comfort in the things that we love, and that's movies and TV and everything in between. So just wanted to put that out there. So without further ado, this is the Welcome to Derry finale discussion. Let's just jump right into it. Zach, I just want to know, I know on your show, you've done the rankings with the TV series and movies. You've done the season overall series, as she does. So I know you've been in the world.
I've been living in the world, man. I'm down in that sewer.
Pennywise is your co-pilot. And so I just want to know initial impressions of the finale. What did you think?
My initial reaction is nailed it. They nailed it. Because when the show started, the first episode, I liked the first episode, but there was a little bit. I mean, this is spoilers. When those kids died, when they got shredded apart in the theater,
I love those kids.
The way that they built them up and made me attached to them, to pull the rug out from under my feet in that way, I was kind of left with like, okay, where's this show going? Like, what are we doing? Like what's happening here? And I wasn't nervous or anything, but I was unprepared for like just how well thought out they had this series. And that came apparent to me in this finale. The way that this finale not only wrapped up and tied up everything in the season that we had just watched, but how it enriches and enhances the movies and the material that came before it. Because this is I believe anyways, this is the first truly absent from Stephen King's original novel material for it. Like, this is completely new material. They've gone and expanded the mythology. They've extended the lore. They've done their own thing with it. And the way that they are able to so seamlessly make it fit with what Stephen King originally brought, I thought was genius. I thought was brilliant, and was overall just incredibly satisfying, while also leaving me wanting a whole lot more. Bring on season 2, please.
I know, seriously, it can't come soon enough. And I think you're right. I think when you go off book, it can be scary for creators that didn't have any more source material to go off of. Not source material in the sense of the lore, but the actual story. And we've seen time and time again, Game of Thrones, that when you run out of books to adapt, it can get a little dicey when the TV creator takes, privileges of the story and goes beyond what the original creator had in store for the audience. And I think it's safe to say now, Andy Muschietti and Barbara, who produces, his wife, and Fuchs is his last name as well, they know it, and they know this world, and they absolutely nailed it, because the way that they were able to expand on this lore and play with our heartstrings and have you fall in love with these amazing kids in the beginning and take them away from you and have the same reaction that you and most people had, where it's like, wait, but I love those kids, it's not going to be good anymore. And then you fall in love with a new set of losers. That is that is masterful writing. And so that is chef's kiss right away. And I was just blown away because I think everyone like who fell in love with the show had that same sense of that journey where it was like, okay, I'm in it. Okay, they took away the people I love. How's this going to work? Okay, I'm starting to love these new kids again. Okay, this is getting crazy.
Yeah.
Pennywise. And it was like the way that they developed the story, it wasn't so much hitting over the head, but it was so well thought out that it continually had you fall in love with the new characters or the characters that you would stay with on screen. And that boils down always to just such great writing. So you just have to give hats off. And as I was watching it and falling in love with the writing and the story developing, I was like, it makes so much sense that this is an HBO series. Like, because HBO is the pinnacle of television storytelling.
They're killing it. Absolutely killing it.
Absolutely. And then when you see this, at first you're like, well, should it be, you know, is it HBO or, and then as it develops, you're like, oh, this is like top tier storytelling. This deserves to be in the HBO catalog. And it, Welcome to Derry has arrived. And so I was highly impressed. And,
well, that first episode too, the way that it ends, it really did, or even just the whole thing, it did two things to me. First of all, it told us, like, right off the bat, just because this is on TV, we ain't pulling our punches. In fact, we're gonna punch you harder than the movies ever did. I mean, that birthing scene in the car, my jaw was on the floor with what they were doing in front of my eyes. And then
that was wild.
And then when they end that episode, they tell you, oh yeah, the stakes are real and kids aren't safe. The thing that you always think in 100%. Shows, the kids aren't safe. These kids that you're going to get introduced to, you're always on guard because we just showed you there's stakes and the kids aren't safe. And it was genius. Just genius.
100%. And they also played with the expectations of Pennywise himself, because at first we're like, what is this flying, scary demon baby? Where's our boy? Where's Pennywise? And they really like let you like work for it and earn when you finally start to see Pennywise, and it feels cinematic. The whole thing felt cinematic, and it was like not a slow burn, but it was a burn up to
it was
finally
a
see
absolutely
Pennywise. Yeah, and it felt earned, and there was just so many amazing parts. And to get back to the finale, you know, with episode 7 and the black spot and how crazy of an episode that was and how hard it was to watch, and we knew, you know, for the people that know the story and know the book and know the It movies, that was a pinnacle moment in history of Derry. And once we saw it, people are saying this is one of the best, you know, episodes of TV in the past decade. And arguably, I agree. But how can you follow that up with a finale and wrap this up? That was the biggest question.
Yeah.
And I think it's safe to say they did it with flying colors. So why don't we get into the beginning of it? I just want to break it down from the beginning. So, you know, this episode opens with at Derry High School, where Pennywise clicks on the monitor over the voice in the school and orders everyone to the gym. He then goes to use the principal's body like a ventriloquist,
like a puppet,
and the curtains part to reveal the supersized blood-drenched clown stabbing his fingers into the man's head and ripping it off. This is the opening, and it's just like, wow, it's, you know, you described it, I think, perfectly. There's just like so many jaw-dropping moments, and then you see like the lights and the kids, and they float, and it's like
he sings that freaky song before he opens up his head. Bill Skarsgård, can we just give the flowers to Bill Skarsgård? In this show, because I got to tell you, like I really like him in It Chapter 1. It Chapter 2, I'm not a huge fan of It Chapter 2, and his
Okay.
performance takes a hit because of the material of It Chapter 2. This is his best as Pennywise. Like 100%.
100%.
He is demented. He is malicious. He is vicious. He is legitimately scary. Like, you
Terrifying.
really believe the terrifying nature of this guy. And he scared me more in this show than he did in the movies. Like,
I
100%.
totally agree. And I think this final boss form, if you will, with the blood-soaked Pennywise from the nose down,
which I love that they left him in that suit. I love that they left him blood-soaked.
That's his final boss form for us, right? And so
Fantastic.
It's like this visual treat of this clown that's covered in blood from the nose down, blood-soaked, still with the white part, with the red hair and the curls. Can't mess up the curls with the blood. It was just such a perfect choice. The choices that they made to represent Pennywise and to still improve on such an iconic look and continue to develop it and give the audience something new for the look of Pennywise. That is not easy to do. And they kept doing it over and over again. And so he has this introduction Pennywise on the stage with the children, mirroring Bob Gray on stage with the children, except this time it's the children's nightmare, not the children's delight, which is such a great juxtaposition. And then you hit them with the lights and they float. And it's like, wow. And then it's like, the smiles and it's like, oh my God.
Love it.
We're back in it. Yeah, we're back in it. We're back in it again.
I never skipped that theme song, by the way. That theme song fit the tone so well.
It is that theme song in opening credits is the perfect representation of the show itself, because it is a slow burn that is has these eerie undertones that slowly gets worse and worse in the images, and then looks like this background towards the end and complete chaos under fire. And it's the complete representation of the show itself. And so
it's even a representation of Derry itself, because the song, when you listen to the lyrics, when you break it down, it's almost like pretending everything's okay.
Right.
You know, I'll be special, I'll be rare, with a smile and a ribbon in my hair. Like, I'm good. I'm fine. Nothing to see here. It's all good. And that's Derry. It's like, there's nothing going on. It's fine. Kids are missing. Whatever.
Yeah, everything's good.
We turn a blind eye.
There's only the mist starting to develop the entire city. So now we get a Stephen King reference, if you will.
The mist,
where the mist is slowly developing and divulging the entire town of Derry. And it's just so creepy. And there's been these like hints to the mist, in the trailers and the stuff that we've seen, that this is going to happen eventually. So they waited to the finale to like fully show us this moment, which was really cool, because there was hints to this throughout the entire thing, that the city was going to be enveloped in some evilness, right? And the mist is a perfect representation. And I thought what was really cool was in the Variety, and we're going to reference some quotes from Andy Muschietti for his interview with Variety after, when he was finally able to talk about these things and not hold back. And funny enough, they said, I thought it might be an allusion to his novella, The Mist, referring to, of course, Stephen King's book. And Muschietti said, it's not, but of course, in The Mist, they say that the mist comes from the Todash field, the same interdimensional plane that it is from. So it's unrelated, but it's also related. I wanted to use the fog to visually illustrate the expansion of the clouds that surround the deadlights. When we see the meteor crash into Derry in episode 4, we see the 3 deadlights dancing around this cloud of fog. The physical element is established there for this story, I wanted to show that it is an expansive force. What do you think about Andy Muschietti's description of the mist and its representation within this story?
I just go back to how well thought out this show is. Like pessimistically,
So
like
it's like I can't stop
pessimistically,
doing Chef's Kiss.
yeah. Like, you know, when you first hear it's announced, it's like, of course, it chapter 2, they made a killing at the box office. Of course, you're gonna
Right.
want to expand this franchise. You want more money out of it. But like all of the connections to the wider Stephen King universe, you know, the Shawshank Redemption bus that's in here, the character from The Shining that's in here, like the way that they really did their homework, they really took care, and they put love towards what Stephen King had created and what has endured all this time.
Oh yeah.
And they did it with such love and affection. And just listening to that quote, because like I've never read The Mist, just full disclosure, so I
haven't
don't know.
either.
You could have been lying.
The movie. Love
you could
the
have been
movie.
lying. I wouldn't have known.
Thomas Jane. You ever see the movie?
Honestly, no, I don't think I have. I don't think I have seen this movie.
Yeah, you should check it out. It's really good. I think you gotta do a
should.
Stephen King movie ranking.
I looked, there's like 90 movies to go through.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
He's the most adapted author of all
Yeah.
time, so that will be hard. Yeah.
But you know what? Maybe one day I just gotta work through them.
Maybe
But,
find the best top 10 list and then be like, I'm gonna rank these top 10 and do my, something like that, like narrow it down.
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely an option. But no, just that quote, it just tells me like, yeah, these guys are the right guys to be doing this because they obviously care and they put in the hard work to make the best product that they can. The details, man, it's amazing.
The devil's in the details, literally. So we follow our heroines, and I gotta say, man, the child actors in this show are absolutely like incredible. Like
Great.
The actress Matilda Lawler that plays Marge, Amanda Christine that plays Ronnie, Clara Stack that plays Lily, and like Lily, all these actresses and actors, like Blake who plays Will, and of course we're going to talk about our boy Richie. They are just so good, and what these kids are put under and the things that they've had to film is absolutely wild. And you best believe this isn't all like green screen on a stick. Some of this stuff is like trauma inducing that they're putting these kids in, and they are just masters of their craft and absolutely crushing it. Class of the highest order at such a young age. So right away, when we get back to these three and they're just trying to figure out like, where is our classmates? What happened to the school? You're like, okay, here we go. Back to our girls, like our heroines that we love. Like we're back in the game. So I got to give it to them. So we follow our girls, Ronnie, Marge, and Lily. And, they're at the standpipe when the fog catches their attention. And the standpipes been plastered with missing posters for their peers, including Will, and the girls head to the school. The only clues there are is their principal's head, the body from whence it came, and a lovely blood trail. And so Margie gives us one of arguably the best lines of the season when she says, "I want to kill that effing clown." And it's like all right, here we go. Just like Richie.
Which is, it's her son. So that's a really fun parallel.
No, 100%. And we are going to get to that because that is a great reveal. And it's also an important reveal because we're going to talk about the timeline as well. Best believe. So I can't wait to get into that. So
give him the girls shot.
So the girls hop into a milk truck. And further down the path, Pennywise's circus cart rolls along increasingly, wintry terrain as he plays a tuba.
It's the Pied Piper. I loved it.
It was really scary, and you see this like trail of floating kids, and
I
the
love that
children
shot.
are like trying to like fly by, and it's just it reminded me a little bit of Frankenstein in the sense like every scene in this finale is like a beautiful painting. Like it was so well thought out and the imagery was so beautiful. Like seeing these floating kids and leading like with the circus carriage, I was like, this is masterful. Like this is top tier storytelling at the finest, the highest order. So I was thoroughly impressed. And then we get to our boy, right? And that is Dick. And Dick's not doing so well.
Yeah.
Dick is hurting, man. And so I love that we got these fractions, right? We have the kids, we have the adults, we have the indigenous people and their story with the history of what's the name of it? Like Arglue or what is it? Like
I can't remember
the
now.
actual name of it. And so there's all these different parts. And when we get to the final like scene, it's just a masterclass in storytelling because you have all these different people doing different things and you need to get all of them in one shot. It's incredible. So they set it up that like Dick's not doing so well. Leroy needs to get his boy so we can help save Derry. And they go and they meet the indigenous woman who gives him some special root that kind of calms his head down so he isn't seeing all these dead bodies and he can kind of focus his shining, right? And use it to his ability, which is going to play a huge factor later on.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we finally follow down the trail and you already hinted to it, but why don't we just get into it? Because I think the reveal was extremely important. And now I'm missing my, so I wanted to address what you said because the reveal was so well done, right? We have Marge get pulled away from the girls in the mist and there's some alone time. And in this moment, we get Pennywise, who calls Margie Tozier, and then says, "Little Margie doesn't even recognize your baby boy," and shows a missing sign with Richie Tozier, our OG crew, the Losers, and then we get one of the most biggest reveals that Pennywise experiences all time at the same time when he says, I don't know, my death, my birth, I can't even keep track of it anymore. And we finally realize this is not a prequel. This is a sequel prequel. It's a sequel prequel. What the heck? Why?
Amazing.
What did you think of using Margie Tozier and the Richie connection to reveal that Pennywise is experiencing time everywhere all at once?
I mean, I'm still unpacking it in some cases because it totally recontextualizes the entire show, where it's like, okay, this Pennywise is so demented, malicious, and just downright despicable, but now it's almost like he's out for revenge because he knows these kids kill him. He knows he gets defeated. So now he's on this, like, just no hold bars back. Like, he's just on this vengeance trip. And it completely changes how you view him throughout the series once you look at it from the perspective of, oh, like, he's coming back because he's got vengeance to pay against what happened to him in the two movies. And again, it enriches, it enhances, it makes yes, exactly. It just makes the movies even feel more well-rounded, and the whole
100%.
story, like it's brilliant. Like it's so smart, and it's so out of the pocket. Like no one else would have thought this. Like it's so
brilliant,
creative,
and it makes you be like, I want to go back and rewatch this now. You know what I mean? Like they got us for a second viewing, right? So I want to read you this quote from our boy. Oh, that's too small. So basically they ask, the finale also makes some allusions to things to come. Pennywise talks about the future and the past, and Margie suggests that he may be able to travel through time. You've mentioned that you're going to make 2 more seasons that go
Oh,
in the
okay.
reverse chronology of Pennywise's 27-year cycles. Is this still the plan? And so not only does this give us the sense that Pennywise experiences all time at once, but it also hints that his story will never be done. And this isn't a prequel if we get a season 2 or 3. This is actually just a continuation of the entire It saga, which I really love.
Right.
And Andy Muschietti, without giving too much information, says, yeah, that was always the plan from the beginning. Our first pitch to Stephen King, notice to Stephen King, the master, not to HBO, from the beginning, our pitch to Stephen King was to tell the story backwards. I can't say too much about the logic behind it because I don't want to spoil it, but it has to do with how Pennywise experiences time in a linear way. We sort of hinted at it at the end of the season. What do you think he means by this?
Well, there was that line from Margie where she's talking to Lily and says, "What if he goes back and tries to kill one of our parents? Like, what if he tries to terminate us? Basically, be the Terminator."
Yeah,
it's so fascinating because it's like if he knows how his death happens at the end of it, chapter 2, assumingly that's his death. I never liked how he died. That's a whole other conversation. But if he can experience that before it happens, like it's almost like, I don't even know, man. Like it messes with my brain a little bit, where it's like, did it even happen? If he knows it's going to happen and he can try to stop it, or is it like destiny? Is it fate? He can't stop it, but he's going to try. Like it's so interesting. Like are they going the Marvel route? Is he opening these other different timelines? Like did it chapter 1 and 2? Yeah, did it chapter 1 and 2 happen? But now Welcome to Derry has made this adjacent timeline where Beverly at the end is a different Beverly than who we got in it chapter 1. Like, you know what I mean? Like, are they going that route? Are they trying to do that? I don't know. It's so meticulous.
I think one thing that they're trying to be particular about is we don't want to rewrite chapter 1 and chapter 2. Those are our Bibles, right? Chapter 1 and chapter 2 are a Bible. So anything that happens outside of those 2 chapters need to influence and enhance what we already saw in chapter 1 and chapter 2, not change anything that happened in chapter 1 and chapter 2. And I think because of what you said earlier with how precious they are about the source material and how much they love it, I think that's one thing they put above everything else is they don't want to change anything from chapter 1 and chapter 2. They want to enhance it and enrich it. And I think that's what we're going to get more of by going back to 1937 now, if I did the math right.
Because there are some questions I have, like the town, like this was a pretty, like, the whole town experienced this finale. Like, it was pretty big. So if you don't leave Derry, you don't forget. So, like, all these people, will they remember this? And then also the couple, like Will and them, are supposed to stay behind to protect. And if that's the case, they did a really bad job protecting those kids in the 80s. So it's
terrible job.
It's so interesting to me. Like, I'm still trying to figure it out. I've been watching so many theories and stuff, and it's so
I'm willing
interesting.
to give them some passes. Okay. So, I think I want to get into this one scene that was really cool that isn't talked about so much. And that is our boy, Dick Halloran, finally gets his revenge. And what I mean by that is that as we get towards our climax in the finale of the scene, our boy Pennywise gets frozen when he's about to bite off Margie's head. Which makes sense because she needs to have Richie. And so we are wondering, how did he get frozen? And we see him kind of wake up, and he's Bob Gray as Pennywise the clown, waking up to people that Bob Gray works with. And it's fine. And then we finally realize this is Dick Halloran using The Shining to finally get back at it for all those times he's messed with him and be like, I'm going to mess with you now and make you feel like, no, you're Bob Gray. And he gets really upset. I'm the eater of worlds. I'm the Galoo, right? I think that's it. And so you see this moment, which is kind of like a great, like, nice, Dick. Nice, Dickie. You did it, right? Like, you made your ancestors proud, you know, like you used The Shining to get the devil back, right? And so that was a really cool moment. I really like that. You know, just based on that scene alone and just the evolution of Dick Halloran in this story in particular, how did you like how his story kind of played out throughout the season and the season finale?
I really liked the actor. I thought he did a really, really good job. And I liked how, for a majority of the season, his character was almost used as a tool and was being controlled by others. And by the end of the season, he was able to take that control back. And he was able to accept this part of himself. Because it was something that he was struggling and trying to run away from for the majority of the season. And this moment where he gets inside Pennywise's head, it's kind of the first moment where we actually see him not just accept his powers, have control over his powers, but almost like enjoy his powers in some ways. And after this scene is over, you see he's changed. He's completely, by the end of the episode, like he has a totally different outlook on how he can use these powers. And I thought he had a really good character journey that, again, ends in a way where it feels consistent with the character in The Shining. I thought it was really smart.
Very, very consistent. No, that's a good point. And so now we're getting close to the climax, right? And the whole thing is that our young loser group needs to get the dagger back in the tree where the meteor struck and Galoo was brought down to Earth. And so they're struggling to get the dagger back in there. The dagger's force fights the kid's progress, and strange lightning is flashing as Pennywise skips over to stop them after biting off the head of the general, who was our other, you know,
that was awesome. That was great.
That was great because, you know, throughout the time, it was the military was kind of used as this other protagonist in disguise at some point. We didn't know their true intentions. And then we found out that they want to use the fear of the Galoo Pennywise to control the world. And that is sinister as all heck.
And terrible plan.
The general says, go ahead, do your thing. And then he's like, I remember you. And he's like, go get at it. And then bites off his head. Right. And so after that, the kids are trying to get the spear back into the tree. And our boy Pennywise sees them try to do it, starts taunting the kids with a "so long, losers," and goes in for the kill. Eventually, no longer afraid of the dagger, just goes for them to stop them.
Like a big bat thing, like flying in the air.
Oh yeah, cool. No, I got a great picture for that, but just in time. Major Hanlon literally blows the clown's head off. A temporary measure, of course, but slows him down. And a spring-loaded plastic head pops out. Like
I laughed so. I loved that so much.
Wild! What a wild thing!
That's great.
But no amount of bullets can stop it long enough. And Leroy gets the deadlights, right? Knocks him dead cold. And then Dick sees the ghost of Sequoia appear on the ice. And we finally see our boy Rich back from the dead. Well, not back from the dead. From beyond the grave, pretty much run by and give Pennywise a final FU, which is very reminiscent of Richie Tozier, who gives a lot of FUs in It Chapter 1. So that was a great moment. And it was like, wow, we finally get to see through Dick Halloran's eyes, who can see people from beyond the grave, who can see the indigenous warrior woman who is this guide to the afterlife, if you will, kind of give Rich this last moment to truly help his friends. And we get this really amazing image, right? Where the kids are trying to force it back. And as you said, Pennywise is transformed into this like horrific bird-like creature. And I go back to that imagery, right? Like the beautiful imagery. And so we see the kids forcing the spear into the tree, with Rich giving the final blow, in this like bat like Pennywise coming up to attack them, and boom, they get it in the tree, blow Pennywise back like he's nothing. The finger from Rich finally pays off. He got his FU that he always wanted. And yeah, so and Pennywise's body disintegrates, reduced to a ball of light that kind of skitters away, right? And that's the last that we see of Pennywise. And it's like, whoa. That was insane. So just off the bat, what did you think about that climax, that whole sequence with all our different players all finally together, all against Pennywise, the bad of Pennywise, and finally defeating him? Did it meet your expectations of what a finale climax should be?
Exceeded expect. I was very happy that they brought Richie back, because like that scene in episode 7 when they burned down the club joint and
the black spot.
the black spot, and which like Pennywise isn't even really involved in that scene, and it's one of the most horrific parts of the entire show,
right?
Is that moment.
Humans were the worst part of the show.
Yeah, exactly. Like scarier than anything Pennywise did in the show. But the way that he saved Marge, right, and sacrificed himself, right? Like that was just like, of all the things I was expecting to get from an It show, I was not expecting to get this emotional over a scene like this, right? And the fact that they even went there with that scene, just completely blew me away. And so to have him come back in this final moment to like give the final victory, it just felt so earned. It just felt so right. And for me, it was unexpected. Like I didn't expect him to be back. So when he came and I saw him running across the ice, I was like pumping my fist. I was like, this is perfect. And again, there's so much in this series that subverted my expectations in such a great way. Like I never would have thought these little minute details in the story, and they're just so satisfying on a character level, on a story level, for me as a viewer. And like one of the things I love about It, the movie, that I feel like chapter 2 kind of lost because of the adult, is the camaraderie with the kids, is the kids bonding together and facing their fears and getting over what scares them together with the power of friendship, right? As cheesy as it is, it's just so great. And that's what I love about the movie. And they were able to replicate that, not repeat, not do it the same way, but give the same feeling, give the same satisfaction of these kids bonding, coming together to defeat Pennywise again. And I loved it. I thought it was great. I teared up a couple times during the show, which was Richie's death and was this moment, and then another moment at the end that I'm sure we'll talk about with Richie.
No, I know. And to your point, we fell in love with those kids from the beginning that died so suddenly. And we were like, how are we going to fall in love with new set of kids again? Like, how are they going to do this? And lo and behold, by the end, loved every one of the new kids that they introduced.
So great.
It was chef's kiss on how you do character development with such a short time and make you fall in love with these characters and really care about them. And something, that you can see in this scene, and especially, the scene with the kids with the dagger and the mist and the different players all coming together. It's such a hard environment to film in, to make it
Mhm.
work. Like, it is a huge juggling act. And so, in the Variety article, they asked Barbara Muschietti, the producer of it, how did you create that environment from a physical production standpoint? And Barbara said, part of why we had to transition to this frozen world was because of the strikes. filming
Oh,
filming went from fall to winter, so the setting had to match that. We thought of going to a real location in Ontario, but that thought lasted about a second and a half. We did a lot of November nights in Ontario on our first film, Mama, and that is not something we wanted to repeat or put our actors through again. So we made a conscious decision to go on a stage. Andy then gave it a real magical feel, working with our production designer, Paul Asterberry, and our DP, Danny Villar, and our special effects crew to miss the whole stage for days and days. So
crazy.
that was all on stage, but it felt lived in. It felt real, and it felt like you were there with the characters. And that is the magic of movies and TV production, is when you think on your feet, and when you try to do real locations, but you just can't because of conditions, and you make the set still work in such a great way. That is how you crush it. And it's so beautiful to see that, like, it takes a village. And from Barbara's perspective, it really took all of them to make this actually work. And it was such a feat that paid off in dividends in the end. So I really love just the environment that the finale was in as well. So we're going to move on to our final thoughts. One that I just have to focus on is the aftermath, right? And so the aftermath, of course, it's going to fall in line with a funeral. And it's going to be a funeral of arguably one of the best characters of the show, our boy Rich and his parents. And there's a beautiful moment where Dick once again uses his shining in a beautiful way, sits next to Rich's parents and says, that hand that you feel on your shoulder is your son. That's Rich. And you see this elated look on their face, and they smile and they thank Dick, and they say, thank you so much. Like, who are you? And he's like, I'm still trying to figure that out. And it's just like such a beautiful moment for Dick, for Rich, for his family. Man, that was insane. With Rich's story concluding in this way, what did you think of Rich as a character and his journey and his conclusion as a whole?
I just think it's a beautiful story. I just think Muschietti, what I really appreciate the heart that he puts into these projects. Like, at the end of the day, there's a scary clown running around, but it's about character, and it's about just these moments, these moments of humanity and human connection. And I also love that this was kind of a moment where Dick saw how he could use his powers, how the good that could come out of him, like what he was able to do for that family with what he is able to do. I thought that was great for his character as well. And again, just that Richie got to be the ultimate hero basically by the end of the show. I love that for the actor. I love that for the character, and it just worked. It worked really, really well. And I appreciate Muschietti's heart for these characters so much. It's why I love this. It's not because Pennywise kills kids and there's blood and gore, everything. It's the characters and the story and the heart at the center of it, and it's just great.
It was really beautiful, and it was a beautiful closing of his chapter. And we get a closing of a lot of people's chapters, right? I mean, Margie is giving a great closing speech at his funeral. We don't even see any of her parents, by the way, any of Margie's family, which is, hinting towards something in the future. We see Margie see a toy plane caught in a tree on Main Street, symbolizing Rich accomplished his goal after
Yeah.
all.
Beautiful.
Lily visits her father's grave, isn't scared anymore to talk to him and say, you know what? I made some friends along the way. And at the standpipe, Margie recaps Pennywise's reveal to Lily. And that's when she tells her that Pennywise, experiences time differently. And she says, I know it sounds crazy, but what if he goes back and tries to kill someone from the time before we were born, like our parents? And Lily can only offer, I guess it'll be someone else's fight. And Margie says, I guess. And that was a great way to tease what we will see next. Of course, they wrap up the Hanlons, help Rose pack and her dad, and then the Hanlons agree to take over the farm, which makes sense because as we see in chapter 1, he's trying to teach Mike to put down some sheep. So he's still doing the farm thing, not so much protecting people from
Yeah, kind of failed on that part of the bargain, didn't they?
Helped with the sheep, failed on the Pennywise. And then Leroy tells Rose he's honorably discharged. So they do like a lot of disposition. He eventually says, I had it with Derry, but his wife says, like, I think we have more work to do here. I think we have a responsibility here to let down them. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, pretty much.
and then you see the thank you for visiting sign as what's her name? Ronnie leaves, and sign fades into an welcome to Derry title card, and boom, chapter 1 appended. And this is the same move the first film did when fans weren't aware if chapter 2 was a sure thing. And then we get our post-credit scene. That's right. We are basically watching a Marvel movie because we got a post-credit scene, and Ingrid is having a tough go at Juniper Hill, but the music seems to settle her down. Skip ahead to October 8, 1988, and elderly Miss Kirsch, we know and fear is doing some clown-inspired painting in the asylum, played again by Joan Gregson, rest in peace, who passed away earlier in June. Screams come from down the hall where Beverly Marsh's mother, Elfrida, has hung herself. Sophia Lillis is back as Bev, crying on the floor behind her horrible dad, who elbows her away in horrible dad fashion. And Miss Kirsch looks on in dismay, makes eye contact with Bev, and we get our second, you know what they say about Derry? And Ingrid's famous saying, no one who dies here never really dies. Another retcon, Bev's first encounter with Miss Kirsch wasn't in her monster form in 2016 when Pennywise was playing her. It was the year before she faced it as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So finales are hard to land. Finales with this overarching structure are even harder, and a show goes back in time each season, almost certainly closing off from our 1962 characters forevermore as we dig into 1935 and then 1908. So that's the plan. But I want to focus on that closing scene because how that came about with Mrs. Kirsch is pretty interesting. And there's a quote that I'm missing right now about where's that quote? About season 2. Well, one about Mrs. Kirsch, and then I'll do the quote about season 2. So this is the quote, and this comes from John Fuchs, the other creator. And he says, what I love about that scene is that it does change your understanding of Beverly's encounter with its manifestation of Mrs. Kirsch in It Chapter 2. I was lucky enough to work on that scene, and at the time, I imagined that it was taking the guise of Pennywise's daughter in order to prey on Beverly's traumatic relationship with her own father. It did not then occur to me that Beverly Marsh had ever met the real Miss Kirsch. But now you go back and rewatch that scene and you realize it was up to something else. It knows that Beverly actually met Miss Kirsch at least once, and it was at the worst day of her life, the day her mother committed suicide. So when it takes that form, it's also a way of tapping into a long buried memory that's intertwined with the most horrific moment to that point of Beverly's young life. And that's the day, the moment we get to see at the end of our season. How crazy is that? That they thought of that deep. That's wild, right?
That's pretty crazy.
That is wild. So, God, dude, hats off to them. To even think about connecting it that way, and once again enhancing what we've seen before in the first 2 chapters, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And then in this Variety article, they ask Andy Muschietti about season 2. And what he says is, we can only say the stuff that's already known. Like, it's in 1935, 27 years before season 1. And it involves the massacre of the Bradley gang from the books. It takes place during the Depression in Derry. And there are some new characters and some characters from this season as well, but younger versions of them. So they've set up a lot of how this could take place in 1935 and the story that we can get. I want to ask you, based on the ending and on what you saw in Chapter 1, Welcome to Derry, and how good it was, what do you think are the chances of Chapter 2, Welcome to Derry, living up to how good season 1 was?
Well, it's tricky. It's always tricky to follow something up like this because Welcome to Derry Chapter 1, I should say. It had the benefit of, I don't think anyone was really expecting this from it. Like even the most hardcore lovers of it were not thinking that it was going to be this good. Like we were curious. Like, we liked Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. Did not think he was going to give the best performance as Pennywise he's ever given. We liked the kid's story part of it. We didn't know that Muschietti was going to be able to capture the magic again. And
we got Bob Gray's story finally.
We got Bob Gray's story, the origin, and they did it in a way that it didn't detract from anything. It made the character better. It made it more well-rounded. Like,
more sinister. The reason for becoming Pennywise.
Yeah,
you could argue lure kids, because he had this like allure with kids and that fan base, and was like, how can I lure the kids? I'm gonna take that clown's form. That's wild and even more sinister.
Yeah, and it's like, we basically watched the peak of it. Like this is arguably the peak of the franchise. And so now they have to do it again. And that's a tall feat. Like, that is not an easy thing to do. But after listening to these quotes, after seeing the season in its entirety, I have a lot of faith in them. Like, I have a lot of faith in them. They obviously care about this a ton. They obviously have thought about this a ton. There's been a lot of work that's gone into this. I mean, they started working on this back in 2022. Like, this has been on the in the plans for a while. And to hear that they already are like, yeah, we got 3 seasons planned. We know we're going back 27 years. We know what we're doing with each decade. And the fact that they're only saying like what they can tell us, obviously they have a lot more information behind the scenes that they can't release yet. I'm hopeful, man. I'm hopeful because this team has shown that they just get it, and they've, in my opinion, Chapter 2 aside, they're 2 for 3, I guess. And Chapter 2 isn't even really their fault.
Not
that's just the material that they were working with. And it's not a bad movie. It's well made. It's competently made. Good performances. It
wasn't as strong though. I think it's
but they were also,
general audience felt that it wasn't as strong, right?
But they were also shackled to previous material that they were then forced to adapt and also stay true to. This is them
That's
without
true.
the shackles on. This is them with full creative force,
Right.
no restrictions, right?
And I
Just
guess
pure
those shackles can
imagination.
hurt or help you, right? Because we were
Yeah,
talking about sometimes when you go off the source material and go on your own thing, it could hurt. But clearly,
yeah,
like you said, the Muschietis and Fuchs, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, know this world and live and breathe this world.
yeah.
And honestly, it makes me think maybe he shouldn't do Batman. Maybe he should just focus on finishing it, Welcome to Derry chapters 2 and 3, and just make arguably one of the best horror series, TV series of all time. If you land chapter 2 and chapter 3, you could go down as potentially one of the best horror television series of all time. And so it's like, do you want to do both at the same time and kind of like
Yeah.
be dragged? Or do you want to focus on just making this great because you already did chapter 1 of Welcome to Derry so well?
I mean, if it's up to me,
Yeah.
it's not that I wouldn't want him to do the Batman necessarily, but like when you hear him talk about the Batman and how he's like, "Oh, I haven't really heard about any script updates. You haven't really been talking." And James Gunn's like, "Actually, yeah, we're still developing it. Like, anyway, he's kind of wrong in saying that it's not being developed right now. We are developing it. Like, it doesn't seem like he's." First of all, being invited to the parties too much when it comes to the Batman.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he sounds way more excited and way more into what he's doing with it than he does
sounded
with
busy.
Batman.
Like when they asked him, and James Gunn since then, he did say Andy Muschietti is like very much a part of that movie still. Like that hasn't changed. But it seemed like now with the context of like how detailed and good this show was, it's like, oh, like did he say that because he's hinting he maybe not want to because he wants to focus on just
Maybe.
it? You know what I mean? Like, could that be what he meant instead of like, oh, like James Gunn's too big for me? Maybe it's like, I'm too big right now for James Gunn, like as like, oh, okay, like interesting. I didn't get that until we saw this, right?
At the same time, though, it could be a great redemption story if he does the Batman, because I mean, I personally like the Flash. Like, I don't know where you stand on the Flash.
I like it.
You like it. Awesome. Okay, so we both like the Flash. A lot of people don't like the Flash. He got burned by the Flash pretty harsh.
There's issues with the Flash, but
Yeah.
overall, what that movie battled to even get to screen is insanely ridiculous. But I thoroughly had a good time.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
You know what I mean?
Like just thinking of the character work he did here, the heart, like imagine if he applied this to the Bat family. Like just think of what he could do with the characters and the relationships and that. Like I think Andy Muschietti would be a great director for the Batman. It's just a matter of, does he want to go back to that DC world? Does he want to go back to the comic book movie world? Did the fans like? Is it a Rian Johnson Star Wars thing? Like, should he just stick with Knives Out and stay away from Star Wars, or do fans want to see him back in DC world? I would personally welcome him with open arms to do Batman in the DC world, but if that means that he has to step away from this project, I want him to keep going with this. I want season 2. I want season 3 as fast as possible and as well done as possible.
Yeah, I totally agree, but I think you're right in the sense that this show just proves that he would make a fantastic Batman movie. And I've said this time and time again, when he does other people's IP, you can tell the love and appreciation he has for them, and he goes all the way in the lore. He lives and breathes it, and he does the characters justice. Yeah. And if he did do Batman, I have no doubt that he would do the same thing with that character and the characters in that world that we love. So,
well, he's proven, him and his partners and his casting director have proven they can find really good kid talent. Like, he is like, across the board, great.
People want Rich for Robin. I'm like,
he could think of the Damian Wayne he could find. Like I would put trust in him to find the right person.
That's what I was saying. People were like, oh, Rich should be the actor that plays Rich.
Oh, that Richie. Yeah. I was thinking of Free Will Park for some reason. Yeah, that Richie.
They were like, he should be him. I'm like, I wouldn't be mad about that. I mean, that would be really cool.
Yeah, no,
Like,
Andy Muschietti has a lot of goodwill with me. He really
yes.
I like him a lot.
No, same.
And this made me like him more.
This made me like him more. So,
because he directed 4 episodes of this show, right? He directed the first episode, the second, and then this one.
The last 2?
The last, and episode 7? Yeah.
Yeah, I think, let me see. I think he did episode 7 as well. Yeah, he did the most goated ones. 1, 2, 7, 8. Like, the best one. So,
it's great.
That's his stamp. But hats off to the creators of It. Welcome to Derry, Chapter 1. And that, I think, will do it for our full spoiler discussion breakdown. Man, we got through it. I think that
covered some ground.
I think we covered all the bases. So I just want to say thank you again so much for coming on the show. It was finally a pleasure to have you on here. I hope we can do it again soon.
Absolutely.
Where can the good people find you?
Yeah, well, first of all, man, it's an honor to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I was so just privileged to be here that you actually reached out and wanted me to be here. I'm always so grateful, and I'm always so touched when people want me to talk anything movies and TV related with them. So it means a lot. Thank you, man. And if you want to find me solo, for the most part, you can check out Zach Milne Talks Movies on YouTube. I do have Zach Milne Talks Movies, the podcast form as well, so you can listen to some of the videos on the podcast feed if you want to do it that way. We do ranking videos, we cover movie news, we cover movie reviews. 2026, I'm gearing up to be a big year for me. Took a little bit of a step back from new releases this year because of becoming a father for the first time. But I'm looking to really amp it up next year. 2026 is going to be a big year for me, so I'm excited. So check us out.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Well, thank you again for joining us. Thank you all for tuning in. Check out Welcome to Derry finale breakdown after you have watched the finale, of course. But once again, that's the show. We appreciate you guys being here. Leave your opinions, leave your thoughts. Be respectful, of course, but always remember you're part of the community. Everything hits everyone differently. And as long as you can be respectful, let's have a conversation about it. So that will do. Thank you for tuning in on a Monday, impromptu. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Take care, my friends. Bye-bye.
It's the Evan edition. The Evan edition. The Evan edition. The Evan edition. It's the Evan edition. The Evan edition. The Evan edition. The Evan edition. It's the Evan edition.